welcome back. This is Mike Keeler, and behind the camera is Mr. Patrick Duffy. And this is a special day for me because we're filming today at St. James Methodist Church, which has been around here for about 156 years. And I'm going to have somebody special come in a moment and take you on a guided tour through the church so you can see the old pump organ and some of the rooms in there. Also, we've got about 4 or 5 new videos coming out for you, probably within the next couple weeks, so you'll be able to see all that stuff. And also, if you have any questions, go ahead and email us at Patrick. What was that email?
pduffy@cityofcentral.co.
You got that? It'll be a little ticker tape across the bottom when you see this film, and you can go on it, click on it, and do whatever you want at that time. But for now, we're going to take a close look at the inside of St. James and give you an idea of what this 156-year-old church costs and how much it is like to maintain it. Because I know JD, who's the maintenance guy here, and he does all the up. We want to make sure that you get to see all the stuff that he has to do on this on a regular basis. Anyway, we're going to take a little walk through here with JD and take a look at some of the things that he has to maintain and look at some of the old organs that are back in the museum here at the church and things like that. So come on along and we'll take a look at it, St. James. Well, we're just about ready to enter the front of the church now, and I want to introduce you to Mr. JD Paskey. JD, hey, Mike. Welcome, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come here and go through this beautiful church. We don't get to do that very often, and now I know this is one of the oldest Protestant churches in Colorado, and you try to maintain it. It's got to be a tough job.
It is. The building is sitting at 150 some odd years old, but it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah. I was looking at some of the mortar in these rocks and everything. Is that still good mortar in there?
It is, actually. A few years back we had some problems with it. The problem is the mortar has to be softer than the rocks. So when you get the freeze-thaw cycle, the rocks don't crack. The mortar has some give. And a few years back, we were having problems with water coming through the mortar on the back of the building, but we got that taken care of.
Yeah, one thing I'm proud of is I am a member here, and I've been here for quite a few years, along with JD, and we just love this church. And even though I know who the pastor is, who's the pastor of this church, JD?
It's Reverend Dick Vickery.
Yeah, he's great. Love you, Dick. Ain't nothing you can do about it. That's the way we talk around here. But anyway, Mr. Paskey's going to take us on through the church and show us some of the antiques and what it looks like on the inside. So come on along. Come on in. Well, here we are on the inside of the Sunday school room now, but it's half of it's been converted into a museum. And if you look around here, you can see some of the old things that we have. I'm going to let JD go ahead and walk you through some of these things, and I'll step back here for a few minutes. Here we go. We'll start out with the frame here is a copy of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, handwritten by the author, Julia Ward Howe, dedicated to this church back in 1904 when she was 86 years old. The story goes she lives on the East Coast someplace, but spent her summers here in Colorado, and this was her church on Sunday mornings. So back in 1904, she wrote a copy of the Battle Hymn of the Republic for us, and there it sits. God, that is really neat. Can you imagine that? Patrick, that's pretty cool, huh? Go ahead, JD.
What else? Over here we've got one of the original light fixtures that hung in the room behind us. Back when this church was built, it didn't have electricity, and those were originally gas lamps. As soon as the church got electricity, somebody actually retrofitted those with electric fixtures. Below that is the original pump organ. The pipe organ that's upstairs went in 1899, so this place sat for almost 30 years without an organ. So this was what they used upstairs before the pipe organ went in.
Interesting. I see you passed a couple of old stoves too. Were these both in here at one time?
As far as I know, they were. Back when the place was built, the pastor actually lived in this room and the next room. And this was what heated the downstairs here, and that's what he cooked on.
And it gets cold in here without heat.
Yes, it does.
Well, we're just looking at the inside of this cabinet, and I noticed that there's some
some needles in that little box in there, David. What's that? Those needles are what the ladies used to sew this carpet together. Back in the 1890s, they finally decided to put carpet down, so they went to a mill in England and had this made. The problem is this came in a 27-inch wide roll that was pretty much the length of the building. Now, the building is 40 feet wide, and these rolls were just over 2 feet wide, so they had to be hand sewn together to make the one carpet that covers the entire sanctuary upstairs. This that you see here is the original, went in the 1890s, and it matches the stuff that's upstairs. Now, once we get up to the sanctuary, I'll show you there, in 1990, the carpet finally wore out. So they went back to the same mill in England that made this, and they dug through their basement and they found the patterns, the color numbers, the dye lot, and they milled us a dead ringer of this stuff. It is an exact copy. The only difference is the stuff upstairs. The new stuff actually has some nylon in it, so it'll actually wear well. This stuff was pure wool.
And it feels like it too. It's pretty rough down there.
It's rough.
And those are the ladies that actually sewed it back there in that picture. And I believe there's 13 of them. So again, this was all hand stitched, and we're gonna take you upstairs and show you what it looks like up there, and also the old organ that's up there. So stay with us. But before we went upstairs, I wanted you to see one of the first lending libraries that they have here. This is the library right here. And what the person would do is they would come up and they would go through here and decide what book they wanted. And once they did that, they could knock on this little wooden wall and it would slide up. They would lend them the book at that point in time. Interesting facts, and I just love this little library. But now we're going to go on upstairs and check it out for you. Well, here we are in the main sanctuary now, and it is beautiful in here. And I know during Christmas time, when I set up the ornaments and trees and things like that, we try to keep it as original as possible back in the 1800s. We have pictures, so we go by the pictures when we hang all the green and set up the tree and all that kind of stuff. But one of the main attractions in the church, and it always has been for years and years, is the pipe organ. Now this pipe organ is absolutely beautiful. If you get a chance to come up here to Central City, or if you live here, if you've never been here, come look at the organ. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm going to let JD tell you a little bit more about this organ. JD? Yeah, the organ is made by Steer and Sons out of Springfield, Massachusetts. Back in the day, this was the end-all, be-all. This was the organ that every church wanted to have, and many did. And as we speak, there are only 3 left in the country, and this is the only one west of the Mississippi. They put this in 1899, and each one is definitely a custom fit. When we built the church, there's a dome that sits behind this, and that's where the choir used to stand. And right now, that's where all 858 of the pipes sit. 858 pipes. You only see 33 of them standing out front here. And a couple of the things that make this unique is usually when you see, they call this a display rack. Usually the display rack is all dummies, and these actually all speak. The other thing is the paint job on these pipes is original to 1899. The paint job has never been touched. So yeah, it was put in 1899, and it still sounds just amazing. Sunday where the power went out, and thank goodness we have a little kid that can come up here and crank that thing, right? And there we go. Another unique feature of this organ is it does have 3 different ways that it can be powered. Number 1, I push the button and the electric blower down in the kitchen comes on and fills the bellows. But number 2 is it still has, back in there, the original hand pump. And you pump it up and down, and it's a double action bellows, so it pumps on the up and on the downstroke. The third way we have is a water motor. The water runs a paddle wheel, and which basically runs the old-time hand pump backwards, and I can use that to power the bellows as well.
Doesn't really matter how the organ is powered, it's still air going through a pipe, so it sounds the same either way. But we don't even need electricity. Somebody can stand back there and pump, and it sounds just like it did when it was installed.
Exactly, because I was here when we get to do it. I mean, that's what happens when you've got an old church that's 156 years old. You're going to have situations. I mean, it took a while for us to get the money to redo the walls on this because they were coming down like we were talking about earlier. Right?
Exactly. That water damage I was talking about was over on the side here and back in that corner where the mortar was actually coming out of the rocks. We had moisture coming into the building. So it was 5 or 6 years ago we had to excavate the entire backside of this building, waterproof, French drains, the whole bit, but now it's standing.
Yeah, and it's hard to maintain. I mean, I know that. It's, you try to keep everything together, but it's just getting old, and a lot of the what do we call the cement or whatever it is? Yeah, the mortar for the rocks and everything is just getting old and it gets crumbling. But it's just something you have to maintain. But if you do get a chance to come up here and visit us, please come up here. We're here every Sunday. 10 o'clock services for Dick Bigby. We'll be here to do that. And we are a fun church. We've always been known as a very fun church, very welcoming. We don't care. If you're up here on a Sunday, just stop by and visit with us. You don't have to stay for a service, but come and visit us and we can show you what kind of people we are. I see we sit, about 300 people in here, 350? And then we have the old balcony. And I heard you talk about that. Reason why we can't use the balcony is because
It doesn't have a railing, it does not meet code.
exactly. And Patrick's looking behind him, but if you could see it, you would see that it does not have the railing. And then on one side is a ladder that goes up to the top of the steeple, which is quite amazing. And Jay, you'll take it there if you think you can get up that ladder.
A couple ladders, I can show you that bell if you like.
And that's pretty cool. If I never walk across that wood, I was kind of creeped out walking across that wood because you never know what's going to happen. Jay, what about these windows? What's all the stuff in the windows there?
The windows are actually original to the building. They all came from Italy. And as the story goes, between Italy and here, not one single pane was broken. And you realize they had to come on a ship from Italy to here. They came on a train from New York towards Colorado. And from there they wound up either on a stagecoach or in horse saddlebags. But they all got here and were original. They are all completely unique. If you look at the top of the window, each one has a symbol on it, and they are all different, but they are all church symbols. You also notice the borders that go around the edges are all slightly different from one window to the next. The other thing that makes these windows unique is they are partially stained glass, partially painted. So if you see the brown pattern in the middle, that is painted rather than stained. So these windows are unique in that it is a combination of both. The eye is the all-seeing eye of God. Next one over here is the scales. That's God being the scales of justice. The next one to the left is the Alpha and Omega, which is the first and the last letter of the Greek alphabet. So that is the first and the last. And after you let us see the rest of it. But they are all Christian symbols.
And you got the same on the other side. On this side, on my left, of course, there's a cross.
But the next picture is an anchor. What's an anchor? Which symbolizes that God is the anchor of our lives. Hourglass shows that our time is running short and he will return soon. Next one, if I remember right, is the lamb. Jesus was the lamb that was slain for us. And those are still original. Those are original. From what I remember, they went through a restoration in 1985, give or take, because some of it was damaged. This whole sanctuary was kind of redone in the mid-1980s. Memory serves 1985. But originally the ceiling was lath and plaster, and it was falling in on itself. So they tore it down, and now the ceiling is actually drywall. While they were doing that, they pulled up the original floorboards replaced it with modern floor decking so it doesn't squeak near me to that. So they had to redo the paint job in here when they did all that. So they changed the motif completely. Now from what I recall, there was always 4 big paintings on the ceiling, but it was not these. It was originally Wendell Pugh who did the paint job in here. I can tell you that the metallic colors that are on the wall are symbolic of what they mined up here. Silver, gold, and copper, and I suppose I can invent the name of a green metal and try to impress you, but I'll save you from that. I don't remember, but it was symbolic of what was mined up here. We actually still have the stencil, so if we ever, when we need to redo the paint job like we did a few years back, those are still in place.
I mean, the paint job turned out really, really well.
Yeah.
I was really worried about that, but it looks really, really good.
Kudos to our boss who tested it out.
Yeah.
What else can I tell you? The piano is original to the building. It's an 1859 piano, and that's been here since they were using it upstairs. These radiators are what used to instill heat in the building up here.
They still do.
They still do. Magnificent job they do.
Yeah, I know, because somebody maintains them all the time. And then behind Patrick is a couple ropes to balance ceiling. Of course, one is for the bell tower, and then the other one is the toner, right?
Let's get back to the bell. This bell is unique in that it actually has 2 different ways to ring. I can pull the big rope and it swings back and forth, and the clapper inside hits just slightly on the bell. The skinnier rope off to the left is an external clapper, so you can ring the bell without making it swing. Doing that, you can actually ring a rhythm, which you can't do with the swinging bell. Or you can make it ring exactly once and no more, which is difficult to do with the swinging bell. Or you can pull it gently and ring the bell very quietly. Or you can pull it hard and make it ring really loud.
Yeah, one of the other things that always puzzles me, Patrick, I don't know if you can see those 2 lights up there that are not on posts. We have never been able to find where those are hooked up.
I actually removed those to chase the wires back, and there is no wiring going to them. So my guess is back before we had electricity, there was a couple of gas lamps there. And when we finally put electricity in, there was 2 holes where it was mounted, so somebody just put the lights there, and my knowledge there's never been power in those.
Let me take you in the back here and show you some of the chairs for the old Colorado Road. Those, we even have those there. I don't even know how we got those. We have several of these old chairs right here. I mean, you can feel them. I mean, they're in really good shape. And I was just talking to JD about it. We don't know how we acquired them, but since we are like a museum here, I think somebody came by and gave them to us. But this in particular right here is from the old Colorado Railroad. If you look real close, it's got the Colorado Railroad insignia right here in the center. And I believe we have 4 or 5 of these chairs. And then also in the back, the Opera has donated us some of their old chairs too. I mean, if you come here, you can see even down in the fellowship hall, we've got old wooden chairs that have got to be 100 years old, easy. So we still have a lot of the old furniture and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and take you into take you upstairs on the balcony and let JD show you a little bit up there. Well, here we are now, we're up here on the balcony, and Mr. Brave Patrick is gonna venture up this ladder all the way to the top. He's gonna take you up there into the bell tower so you can see that old bell, and it's beautiful up there. Really, really dark. I hope we can get a good shot of it, Patrick, when you get up there. But this also gives you a look behind us at what it looks like from the top of the balcony back towards the front of the sanctuary, which is beautiful down there. Okay, so Patrick, good luck on your journey.
Let's go upstairs. We are here at the bell, and this bell was original to the building. As I was saying earlier, there's 2 different ways to ring it. If you pull on the big rope, it gets the clapper inside. But that's very hard to control. So the other rope is an external clapper, so you can ring it quietly, or loud, or this to somebody last week and I see a date of, I want to say it was 1912, written on the inside of this in chalk. So I'm not quite sure what that represents, because my understanding is this was original to the building, which was done in 1871. But here she sits, we ring it every week.
Well, we've come to the end of this trip, and I hope you enjoyed some of the sights that JD had showed us in here, and the age of a lot of this building. I mean, again, it's a beautiful building, and I'm so proud personally to be a member of St. James. I've been here for quite a few years. I know JD has, and he works hard to maintain this building and keep it from coming apart, actually, right? So I want to thank you all for being with us today. And JD, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike, for having me. Appreciate
thank you for all the parishioners here and members that allow us to come in here and film this. And hopefully they'll enjoy this show when Patrick finishes it up. So
Come join us. We look forward to seeing you.
till next time.